Hello there, Internet. MegaMogwai here, and I got another Legends of Runeterra video for you guys today. First of all, apologies for the lack of upload yesterday. I had some personal things that I had to take care of, and I needed a day to focus on those things. So I can't really talk more about it because it's my personal life, and I do need a little bit of privacy in that aspect. But I just wasn't able to find the time to create a video, and sometimes emergencies happen and you need to be able to address that, and priorities are priorities, right? So I missed out on yesterday's upload. Hopefully you guys don't mind too much, as we're back at it today, and hopefully tomorrow onwards. It's a bit more hectic for me in the summer, especially in July. First of all, this is the month in which my birthday's coming, and basically all of my family, which lives in other places in the world, like they don't live in Spain for the most part, they come to visit, right? So it gets more hectic. There's a lot more family duties, and just honestly, summer vacation time. I really do enjoy that as well, and it's nice to have a bit of a change of pace in that sense. But it does obviously conflict with my line of work every now and then, right? But yeah, just wanted to keep you guys updated and let you guys know what's up and all that good stuff. Regardless, like nothing bad has happened or anything, all is good. And yeah, enough talking. Let's feature today's deck, as I still to this day get many people asking me for a Lee Sin deck. MegaMogwai, I want you to build a Lee Sin deck. Lee Sin is my favorite champion. You barely showcase Lee Sin. I see this kind of comments, especially on my streams, right? People really want me to build a deck around Lee Sin. I'm gonna make use of this video to kind of like respond to all these suggestions by saying that this is the best Lee Sin deck. The reason why I don't really venture into other decks built around Lee Sin is because they're just all vastly inferior to this strategy. Mighty Lee is the way to go. Mighty Lee is a legit, very competitive archetype built around Lee Sin that really maximizes Lee Sin's potential as a late game win condition by pairing him with Might, which is a burst speed spell from Noxus that allows you to give an ally +3 attack and overwhelm. Giving Lee Sin overwhelm once he's leveled up is tremendously powerful, as we're able to get his attack with Might to 7 from 4, which means that we will be dealing 14 damage to the opponent's Nexus directly with his attack alone. And these are obviously this damage that we can stack up more and more through the use of, increase more and more through the use of Draven's Axes, the Resonating Strike from Sonic Wave, etc., right? So this is the best deck, in my opinion, to play Lee Sin with, because it is an archetype that has a solid enough early game that can allow you to pick off and really fight for board presence and dominance as you build up for a late game in which you're able to deal 3/4 of the opponent's life total in just one hit, right? It's more of an OTK combo sort of archetype, but it's a very consistent one at that, because you only really need Lee Sin and a source of overwhelm. And not only are we playing 3 copies of Might, we're also playing a couple of copies of Kato the Arm, which is an alternative to Might. We prefer Might because of the burst speed, the fact that it's cheaper, and generally speaking, we don't really need the body from Kato to do what we want to do in the later portions of the match. But it is an alternate way for us to, or alternative way, English, to get the overwhelm going, which is very important, right? Which is why we're running him as a 2 of. We have Deep Meditation as a 3 of to give us that late game draw that we actually really do need a lot with this deck, as we fish for either the Might or protection for our late game play with Deny. Deny is actually very important. Not only is Deny very good in this meta, because it has plays, it has targets, even in the aggro matchup. Like, not very few times have we been in a metagame in Legends of Runeterra in which Deny is useful against aggro. But right now, not only Decimate, but also the Harrowing from Darius decks, amongst other things, like, for example, the Decisive Maneuver. We want to be able to counter those plays, and it makes it so that this card, regardless of whether we're facing fast-paced strategies or low-paced ones, it will almost surely find a card to counter, and will be very important in doing so, especially more so important in a deck like this in which we want to deny the opponent's disruption for our late game turn kill, right? So, or one turn kill rather. We want to be able to strike with Lee Sin with overwhelm, so if our opponent has a Vengeance or Will of Ionia, any sort of interaction that's not burst speed, Frostbites, which this deck really hates, we will be able to stop that with Deny, and that makes this card incredibly important in this build, more so than in other decks in a metagame in which, like I said, Deny is pretty much good in any Ionia deck you can think of, right? But specifically in this one, it's even more so. So you can make an argument for 3 copies of Deny even, but I'm going to stick with 2 for now. We have an early game comprised of Crimson Disciple, the Dragon Girls, and Claws of the Dragon, Eyes of the Dragon, full set of Retreat, a couple of Sonic Waves, which I love with Draven, Transfusion for protection as well, alongside Retreat, and a couple of copies of Draven's biggest fan, because we love Draven. We are his biggest fans, we like his voice lines, and we really need him on turn 3 in this deck, because the axes that he's generating for us are super important for us to be able to get the level up for Lee Sin earlier, and also to enable a Lee Sin Challenger proc for 0 mana as well. Axes, like spinning axes, are really, really useful in this build, and having Draven on curve is pretty vital for that to happen. Shadow Assassin for card draw, also to play an elusive that can slowly but surely chip away at the opponent, because we do need a little bit of prior damage before we kill our opponents off with Lee Sin, right? And ladies and gentlemen, that is the deck list right there. I wouldn't quite the ramble regarding the deck tech, even though I've explained this deck in the past. It's been a while since I've uploaded a video on it, so I felt like it was nice to kind of like talk about what the deck is all about. And yeah, it's a deck that I felt like sharing again. For those of you who want to see Lee Sin, this is the kind of deck to play him in. And hopefully the gameplay speaks a little bit for that. So that's all I gotta say. Have a solid day. Hope you enjoyed some Lee Sin gameplay. Sorry for the lack of upload yesterday. Hopefully I can make it up to you. And that's all I gotta say. Have a solid day. Hope you enjoy the start of the week. Yeah, have a good one. Enjoy the matches. And I'll see you tomorrow. Alright. Seems our first opponent is gonna be Ashe. I wonder if the ladder will be filled with many Ashes today. Because I'm not sure if I'm okay with that matchup, really. I'm gonna drop Crimson Disciple, and I'm gonna drop, no, I'm actually gonna keep a Draven. Because the Draven will convert into a Whirling Death, and I can actually find quite a bit of utility in that. Obviously, like, the biggest problem with this matchup, the trickiest aspect for us will be overcoming the Frostbites. Because we are a combo deck that tends to aim to win with Lee Sin, and going for preemptive buffs alongside Overwhelm on him, if our opponent can just deny our attack at burst speed, that's naturally going to be an issue. That's going to be a problem. So we have to navigate around this problem. And one of the tools that we have at our disposal for that is Draven and the axes. Being able to get multiple axes going on. Okay, that's a little bit annoying.
Beauty charms while claws take hold.
We're gonna have to play the Claws of the Dragon.
The dragon remembers.
Dragon members. We're gonna attack. We're trying to get any ounce of chip damage. Truly does go a long way in a deck like this. But we need to have a blocker for this. We just passed. We don't give a fuck.
Time for the main event.
Like, he's obviously trying to set us up here.
All the world on one arrow.
We'll go for the attack.
Lead the target.
There's a Brill Steel. Now we're gonna play around the second Brill Steel by using the Transfusion alongside an axe.
Time for the money makers.
We discard the Crimson Disciple. Only Elixir of Iron would have been able to stop that there. But us taking down the Ashe before he can capitalize on it and kill us off with this Glory Seeker is really neat. We also have the card draw now with Demeditation as well. Even though it would be a nice turn to set up Kato the Arm, I think having Whirling Death enabled is pretty important, especially considering how close we are at actually leveling up Draven.
Took the bait.
We're no longer out of Brittle Steel range, though. We're gonna go for this. And we're gonna try to Whirling Death.
Glory, you're mine.
Are we gonna try to Whirling Death? Could have a Frostbite. I can do this here.
Subtlety.
I can give you an axe.
Now we're cooking.
Maybe that was a bit foolish, just playing into that frostbite like that.
The party has.
But then again, I could just draw Draven again. I have retreat this time around.
Will unite the frail unit.
Get a little bit more chip damage on him. Now we are on an objective to win with Lee Sin. We need to draw Lee Sin first, though, fortunately.
Show me, face me.
It's Draven time. It is me. The stories were true.
Only the finest serve.
That's a problem.
Time for the money makers.
We could have another Brutal Steel. Or not. Alright. We do have Deep Meditation this time around, and we have Lee Sin though.
I fight with the dragon's fury. Extend your senses.
If he has a Reckoning, then I have the answer for it. Okay, there we go.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Unless he has a Flash Freeze, we may have him.
Go time! Prepare yourself.
Up top! Hey, there we go! Alright. Whew.
Ionia endures.
Ionia always endures. I was actually like, I was not confident that I would take that win. After I saw the Trifarian Assessor go down, I thought my opponent drew way too much. And when he went for that Calling Strike, I was expecting a Brittle Steel to like capitalize on my axes, right? But, or to counter my axes rather. But I guess he just did not draw into more sources of Frostbite, and that really did make the difference. Like, you guys can see there, like, we are incredibly vulnerable. Like, we have a couple of denies main deck just to prevent, you know, stuff like Will of Ionia, Vengeance, but Frostbites happen at burst speed, so we can't really interact with them too much. We can buff afterwards, right? And there's some neat ways we can navigate around that with Draven, but generally speaking, it's a really tough matchup, and hopefully the ladder's not played by Ash decks right now, even though that's like the last video that I uploaded. But I mean, I'm not attributing that deck being popular to me. It's been getting more and more, like, it's becoming a thing, and I think my video is not really changing much into that. But yeah, I don't want to play a billion Ashes basically, so hopefully that's the last Ash for the day. So, all right, round 2. All right. Int Jab is actually a Spanish player. He tends to just purely play meta decks though. From what I like, every time I run into him, he's never like really playing anything super interesting. It's just like meta game decks, which is, you know, nothing bad about that. Some people just want to climb and get points and stuff, but it does make you a bit more predictable as an opponent, I think. We're gonna drop pretty much everything except for the Will of Ionia. We want a bit of an earlier curve. Double Kato right now. Consider we have a full set of Might as well. Like, we'll draw into one of those finishers. Like, right now we need to make sure that we're able to work for the Lee Sin level up. In this particular matchup, we don't have to worry about Frostbites. It's just stuff like Ravenous Flock. So as long as we keep our Lee Sin intact, we should be pretty good. I'm not a believer in this Braum Swain deck, by the way. In case any of you are interested in my input regarding that, I don't think this is a good deck. I think it's very overrated. I think it has a lot of bad matchups.
I'll try anyone.
And I'm gonna go ahead and drop 7.
Let me show you what I can do.
Now, normally I would block into this Crimson Disciple if I was facing more of a burn matchup, but
I love a taste of the action.
he could have a take heart amongst other things. I'm still gonna block.
Here, darling.
I'm actually still gonna block
Is that on?
because that basically prevents the demolitions from going down next turn. And I do like the Draven's biggest fan here. But I can always play that next turn. I'm gonna drop the
Spirit gives to those who listen.
I have Transfusion backup. Like I can play you and I can play Draven's biggest fan. I can always do that. But I also like having the Open Hawk here.
Is he here yet? Oh man.
Let's get Draven in there.
Yeah, I'm out of play.
No. We don't want that. We don't want to trade a 2-1 to a 1-1. We want to make sure we can get good use of our trades here. We prevent an open attack. Braum may go down here. But if that's the case, I can combine.
Hey, kiddo. Dig your kid up.
Good get up.
Let's take this outside.
Alright. Interesting.
Ready yourself.
Does he do this?
Transfusion is definitely very likely here, but we do have retreat. That's pretty fine though. He wants to play Ravenous Flock to get rid of Draven here. Then I can always retreat in response. My opponent is running lower on gas.
Let's boogie.
I'm gonna attack with Draven just to get a little bit of chip damage on him. I'm gonna keep piling up these axes. Right.
It's Draven time.
Demeditation will cost 3 mana next turn, so I don't have to commit my mana right now. My opponent's down to 3 cards. I'm gonna be able to generate a Dragon Lane here for a little bit of defense. This is like an excellent chump blocker at this stage.
Up there in the mountains.
Battling Burke
There's no such thing as Yeti.
gets him some decent value there, but it is a slow play. I'm gonna do this first. Since I don't pass over initiative by doing this, now I can drop you. Alright. Let's pass here.
God axes need victims.
Because of this, there's no real good attack for me right now. So I can just attack with you. I would like to see Lisa in here soon. Even though I am still missing some pieces. I am a little bit concerned about Leviathan going down soon. As, you know, Braum Swain doesn't have like the scariest of late games, but you can't be like super passive with them. It's not a Brahmanavia levels of late game, but it is pretty menacing, especially like Leviathan plus Swain is not something. I mean, we have Will of Ionia right now. Let's get a bit of damage on him. Like that's what we need to rack up at this point, just basic damage. I have to hope that he doesn't have a Leviathan in hand. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have 9 cards in hand, which means I can draw a card here.
You gotta believe me. Oh, you and your
You and your stories. Alright. Yeah. I need draw. I need ways. Okay, interesting. Interesting.
Look what you did.
This is gonna hurt for you.
The order rewards its faithful.
For conquest, for empire.
your home. Let your instincts speak. Breathe in, breathe out. The dark beckons.
I really need to draw. If it isn't Lee Sin, I need to draw into something. Do we go for the Will of Ionia now? Gives me another chance next turn. Okay, wait, what if I attack?
I will play my part.
I've carved meat bigger than you.
I'm gonna go for more damage. I'm gonna use my Shadow Assassins here. There's my boy.
Destination in sight.
The dragon spirit awakens.
Beautiful, beautiful. Just in time.
Force is meaningless without skill.
Just in
Pleasure
time.
to see you, master.
As long as I keep my key units from being damaged, I have more than enough chump blockers here. And with my axes,
My turn.
yeah, someone's desperate.
Let's see what you can do. Your lesson begins.
Drops me down. As long as I don't block, nor I take any extra damage with this, I can always set up a barrier, is the thing. I have Sonic Wave, which allows me to do that. I think at this point I'm keeping the Eye of the Dragon in hand. I represent lethal with these Shadow Assassins, but I'm also going to represent lethal with Lee Sin here. These back-to-back Will of Ionias have bought me just enough time.
The enemy quivers with fear.
Yeah, he's scared shitless. Good point, Lee Sin. Thank you. Thank you for letting everybody know. Alright, he's going for damage. He's going for damage.
Oh, this hurts.
Come back next.
This is 2. This is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like this. Like right now, I'm gonna go down to 4. But unless he has like a Nox, like double Noxian Fervor, which if he does have anyways, we lose anyways. So we just keep it like this.
Artillery barrage.
Like it would have to be something very specific for us to just die here.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Okay,
Conflict
deny.
is all in the mind.
Deny is exactly what we need.
I'll see his through.
This cannot harm.
Prepare yourself.
So we go for the Dragon's Rage. Got it. There we go. Woo! All right.
I thank you, dragon.
Arigato, dragon. Arigato gozaimasu. Alright, so like I said, I don't think Crimson, like not Crimson, sorry. I don't think Swain Braum is necessarily a bad deck by any means, but I do think it's been quite overrated. I think it's surprisingly linear for a mid-range deck, and it just doesn't have as much spice. I don't know. I don't think it's that good in this meta. I think it's very easy to adapt to that list, and I think it has a lot of bad matchups, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, we're doing good with this. Let's go into round 3. Alright, King. Bringing us some Ezreal. I mean, Pilfer Goods got nerfed, so I really want to see the overall impact of that. I think I want to keep Might in my hand. No, it may be a little bit too early. Yeah, I think it's a bit too early. I think right now we want to focus on netting good value. We need some way to generate chip damage, and then with Lee Sin and barrier. Like, the ability to generate a barrier with Lee Sin is pretty important. So we're gonna pass here, we're gonna build up our spell mana. We draw into Draven's biggest fan.
What you looking for? The party has
Let's hope for no thermogenic beam. Alright. Draven's biggest fan has succeeded in being a great fan. I wanna play Draven now. No, I'm gonna drop you.
Silent as death.
Silent as death.
This is awesome. Packed him good.
Make it rain. Okay, so no make it rain right off the bat. We would have been very, very vulnerable to that there.
I'm always up for a round or two.
Okay, so I do want to go for retreat here.
The order rewards its faithful.
What we have here?
You cannot escape.
I had to block this because I need to trade into the pickpocket.
Just borrow it.
I fight with my spirits, not my fists.
I'm gonna play Eye of the Dragon.
Let me show you what I can do.
And Crimson Disciple.
Take from the rich, give to me.
I love a taste of the action. Look what you did. Oh, this hurts.
I'm gonna use this to work for Lee Sin's level up for one, but also to get the Dragonling. Being able to get the Dragonling blocker here is super, super key.
It's Draven time.
I'm gonna play Draven here.
I'm not greedy. My friends.
My
though.
friends, though.
Force is meaningless without skill.
A pleasure to see you, Master.
Better than.
My selection speaks for itself.
Now we're cooking. Conflict is all in the mind. Strike firm, prepare yourself.
It's Raven time.
I will not hold back.
Breathe in, breathe out.
I want to spread out. I want to get the Dragonling because I want to be able to play around the Riptide Rex. Even though we know that more than half of his hand, or at least half of his hand, is mine.
Smells like opportunity. I'll buy us some time. Heavy pockets, huh?
Ready yourself.
Act free of doubt.
As long as I prevent him from connecting, I stop the Riptide Rex. I can Will of Ionia here. And yes, deny, of course.
Time for the money makers. I'll see this through.
When you cast a spell. So this is one of the areas in which the game becomes a little bit less intuitive. Like it's perfectly reasonable to assume.
I'll never forget. Raven.
It's definitely
Your senses.
perfectly reasonable to expect, you know, to generate a barrier there, because deny doesn't stop a spell from being cast. Deny like makes a spell fickle here. Okay.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
I will not hold back. The dragon spirit awakens. My lance, enter your steel.
Oh, it has to be an enemy. Oh. Oh my god! Karate kick, bitch! Woo! Oh my god, I'm talking.
I thank you, dragon.
I thank you. Card of the cards. AK Dragon. Let's go with that. Oh my god. Yeah, that's one of the things though. Like that's where that game is a good example as to why like I want like a proper rule book to be released. Because there are a lot of things that aren't really as clear. I've been playing this game for a long time, and I still get confused sometimes. For example, deny says stop a fast spell, slow spell, or skill. What does stop mean exactly? Are you preventing the spell from being cast? Is the spell counted as being cast? Because there are certain instances with for example, like Lux leveling up for Final Sparks, amongst others, that make it really confusing, right? So I wasn't 100% sure. I actually was not. I tested it. I wasn't sure that deny would prevent my Lee Sin from getting a barrier, right? Because I technically did cast a spell, and they don't clarify what stop means, right? So I really wish we had access to, and I really wish Riot eventually works on like a universal rule book or some sort of resource that lets us know exactly how mechanics function in this game. So that everything is clear and we don't have to like learn things through just like playing the game and figuring it out that way, because I don't think that's good for a card game. So yeah, just want to like clarify a little bit what was going through my head there, because I was probably silent for a bit. I was just thinking about, is this gonna work or not? Why do I not know this at this point? I probably should. You know, there are certain things that I struggle with here and there. I mean, they're pretty minor, right? Like for the most part, the game is pretty clear, but you know, that's a very good example of things that I feel that they need to patch up. In my opinion, of course, this deck is honestly as satisfying as it's always been. We got some really nice games today. We were able to take on the Ash Frostbite deck, which I really thought that was going to be a loss, honestly. Like, that's such a rough matchup. But it just goes to show, man, this deck can just really come from behind and can apply the pressure, and it has such a fantastic win condition, man. This deck's win condition is so strong. Like, Lee Sin with Overwhelm is super legit. And I could totally see this as a very successful sort of, like, tournament deck, right? So I don't know. I love playing some Mighty Lee every now and then. And hopefully you guys enjoy this deck as much as I do. I always like any excuse that I can use to play Draven with Sonic Wave. This is just pretty much all I need, really, to do what I want. Because this is so satisfying. I love Sonic Wave with quick attackers. I love playing Draven in general. Draven's one of my favorite champions. I love messing around with the axes. There's some really cool plays that you can do with Draven. And I'm just a big fan of this archetype, and I'm a big fan of this list. So, you know, it's as usual in the description down below, hopefully English. You guys enjoyed the games, and that's all I gotta say of this whole day. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for daily Legends of Runeterra content, even though I did miss out on the upload yesterday. Again, apologies for that. Love ya. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.